everybody, welcome to another live this week. How's everybody doing? I am so excited to jump on again and talk about another topic this week, and I will be speaking about time management tips. I know time management is something that we all need help with and we all try to do our best in. Hi Samantha, thank you so much for joining our live. So I'm going to attempt to share some of the things that work personally for me and what I've learned along the way. Hi Agnes, thank you so much for jumping on. Welcome to the live. I hope you guys are enjoying the resources in the group, and I hope that you all can engage with each other and start to get to know each other, so everyone gets to know about the amazing things that everyone does and ways that we can network and support each other further into our journeys. So that's really exciting. Hi Edes, thank you so much for joining. So I'm going to start with breaking down time management in three big categories. So there is three important categories that all time management actually falls into. So we have our family and our personal goals. So this is whatever our goals we have for our family and personal life. And then we have our business and career goals. So as you can imagine, a lot of the tips that I'll be speaking about fall into this category. And we also have our third category for time management, which is our personal development goals. So this would be that spiritual journey, whatever we're trying to achieve at a higher level. And some of us are further along the journey than others. So I hope that dividing up the categories into these three important categories helps everyone kind of think about time management in a different way and helps logically rationalize around these things and you know, how do we actually think about it? So I want to actually give you guys some top questions to ask when we have conflict between these three goals, right? So we all know that our life is not always at the perfect balance at all times. Even though we try, we all strive for it to be that way, especially us being moms. Hi Ardiana, thank you so much for jumping on. Edda said, is this for women only? So this is a women's group, but of course, you know, we try to keep it at that. But of course, we're gonna have guests that are men as well. So, you know, this is open to everybody. But obviously, because we're all women and we all kind of can identify with similar issues, that's the reason why most of the group is for women. That's a great question. So when we have conflict as far as our balance is being thrown off, sometimes we might be focusing so much into our career or our business, and then we might lack maybe in the parenting or maybe in our close relationships, or if we're with a partner. So those are all the other things that we all sort of struggle with sometimes. So I want to give you guys three questions if you are in conflict with any of these particular categories. So the first one is to consider what's really important to me, right? So take a few minutes to sit down and sort of give yourself some perspective on what your priorities are. This always helps with slowing down the brain, especially when there's a lot of things happening at once. We tend to sort of put fires out all the time, and we actually don't take the time to slowly calm down and kind of consider, is this really important to me? What is it that I'm working on? Or is it something that maybe is an expectation? Oops, my phone almost fell, but I'm here. Or is this thank you, Ardiana. Oh, I see. Edda said, I am male and I'll side on good luck. Okay, thank you so much for joining. Sorry about that. Okay, so we need to take some time and kind of like figure out our priorities and where we are with that. So you can ask this question, right? With any time you have so much to do with so little time, which is almost always. And the answer you get is actually very good insight in what is it that you need to be doing. So it's pretty important to consider that question. So the next thing is, what are my highest value activities, right? So what can I do to add the highest value to my time? So all of us want to make sure that obviously the activities we work on actually are tied to our goals. And we're not just doing busy work, or we're doing tasks that kind of don't align with what is it that we're trying to accomplish. Because then obviously we're not going to make as much progress on our goals, and we're going to be frustrated, and that's not a good feeling. So we want to know that the activities we are working on actually are either, if let's say your priority in your business is to make income goals, then you want to make sure that those activities are actually tied to that. Are you signing enough clients? Are you talking to enough people? Are you engaging in enough conversations? So that would be an example of what that could look like. And then the third question is, what's the most valuable use of my time right now, right? So since we only get to do one thing at a time, even though a lot of times we try to multitask, and I believe even though that seems helpful at the moment, we actually long-term are training our brain to get distracted. So I believe we have to kind of pace our multitasking and to sort of train our brain to work in one activity at a time, because then we end up being scatterbrains. We end up starting a lot of different things and not finishing anything. So that is a watch out there for that. Hi Nita, thank you so much for joining. Hi Anna. So since you can only you get to do one thing at a time, you want to get organized, right, where you actually are getting the greatest joy and satisfaction. So rather than focusing on the activities and the things we have to accomplish, we also have to enjoy the process, or at least we have to try to attempt to enjoy the process, right? Because if we enjoy the process, hi Nita, if we enjoy the process, then we're more likely to want to jump into accomplishing those things or those activities. So no matter how uncomfortable some tasks are, or maybe they're tasks that our personality doesn't really align with, then we wanna make sure that we are somehow finding joy in those moments, or if we can delegate them out, then we should do that, right? A lot of times I believe us as women, and I always had to overcome this as well, my own, is we try to be super women. We try to do everything on our own, and we think that we can be everything and everyone to everybody, and that's why our self-care struggles, because we leave ourselves for the end and then we get burned out. So that is something that I had to learn the hard way, especially with the building of my business and moving away from my corporate career, because I would be so passionate about what I'm doing. I would definitely try to be all over the place and try to accomplish a lot of things, because I would do it with a lot of passion. But I ended up getting overworked and burned out. And I needed to take a lesson out of that, and I needed to slow down and only focus, because my tendency was always to jump ahead the day. So if I finished some of the tasks for that day and I didn't plan properly with time blocking, the amount of time it would take me, I would actually go ahead and work on the things for the next day, try to be ahead of the curve. But obviously that's not a good practice, because I would always be working and that would never stop. So I had to put limits up where whatever I planned on my calendar, time block them. I also, I followed that religiously. And I also scheduled self-care times in my calendar as well, and made sure that I followed that. So if meditation was on my calendar or exercising, then there was nothing that was going to move that. That was just an appointment I had with myself, and I had to make sure that I put those boundaries down in order for me to feel good and also be happy with what I'm doing, rather than get burned out, because that is definitely absolutely an issue for a lot of us, especially if you're a mom and you're juggling other responsibilities. Okay, so wanted to give you some mindset shifts that could help you with maybe your time management as well. So rather than saying, asking the question, why do I need to do a particular task? Like, for example, why do I need to wake up in the morning to go work out? A better way to ask that question, so you give yourself a chance, your brain a chance to problem solve for you, is how much time do I have to schedule my workouts in the morning? When you ask it that way, then your brain has to work on a solution for you. So the way that we ask those questions is important in making sure that we are coming up with really good problem solving questions for ourselves, so we can start building those habits we want to build. Use your calendar, right? I spoke a little bit about that. I mean, we have to, especially if we're juggling a lot of these activities, we have to time block tasks, and we can try to project the time that they would take for us to work on them. So if we time block, like I said, 30 minutes for a workout, then we'll know that that's kind of the time that it would take for that workout. If you're working on a certain projects, what I do to kind of measure my time is I put a timer up. So let's say that I'm doing maybe recording podcast episodes, as I have a podcast. I have sort of measured my time the last time that I did it, so that I kind of know what to expect. And let's say that it takes me 2 hours to do that, then I'll block out 2 hours on my calendar. So for the task, my recommendation is for the task that you actually might not know how much time it will take. So to track yourself, I use Alexa timer, or maybe just a timer on the phone. Track yourself and sort of pay attention to how long it takes you to complete them. So then you can properly put them on your calendar. Because the worst thing is that if you don't really know the time it would take to do a lot of things, which happened to me also, I would overbook myself, and then I would get disappointed because of course I couldn't get to all the things that I overscheduled myself for. So want to make sure that you're aware of how long that would take. I know a lot of you like to do to-do lists. I do an exercise once a week, every Monday, where I sort of dump out all the tasks that I have to do. Not just for that week, but the month or whatever is in my mind. I dump out everything that I have to do, because this way, if I empty out my brain and I put everything on paper, then I have a good chance to sort of look at all the things that I have to do. And I just cross out some of the things that I thought I had to do, but are not really so important. And I just cross them out off my list. And then if I'm really happy with the other things that I have to do, and I still decide that those are the things that are going to move me forward towards the things I'm trying to accomplish, then they'll end up in my calendar with time blocks. So if you have recurring tasks, this is another good tip, to schedule those ahead of time. So I know there's a lot of times during the week that we're doing the same thing. So if you schedule those ahead of time in your calendar, then you can remove that out of your brain and you don't have to worry about it. You just follow your calendar. Because a lot of times when we're trying to accomplish something, it's not so much that the task takes a long time. We just have to get over our brain drama of trying to tell us that we don't want to do it, or it's not the right time, or it's not a pleasurable activity, or it's not something we want to do right now. So the more that we schedule things ahead of time, the more we are actually removing the brain drama and just focusing on the task at hand and accomplishing the things we need to do. And this way, we actually look back and we have seen that we have actually accomplished a lot of things. I think I spoke about this before. I do use a Sunday journaling and writing down my weekly accomplishments and my weekly priorities, to sort of to list all the things that I've done for the week. Because like I said, if we don't write things down and we sort of show ourselves that we've accomplished a lot, then we tend to get to be less satisfied, and we tend to always think that we're doing less than we actually did do. So having a practice like that always ensures that not only you're tracking and then you're keeping track of all the things that you're doing, but also you are focused on all the right things that you want to do, all the right priorities that you want to accomplish. And then I'm going to leave you with the last tip. Creative work first. So if you have to do any creative work, I believe, well, we all different. Most of us like to do that. We work better in the morning, or we work better at night. So if you can do it, if you know yourself when you work best with your creative and what you need to focus on, then of course you could do that. I personally work better late at night rather than in the morning. So knowing that I will time block time when I need to create a program or write a piece or a blog or something that needs my attention, I will do that later on during the day. But there's a lot of you that do your best work in the morning as soon as you wake up, because your brain's fresh from sleeping the night before. So that could be another good practice for you to do as well. All right, everybody, that's all I had for you this week. Thanks for to everyone that had time to jump on the live. I really appreciate it. You can always send me questions. I want to do maybe in a couple of weeks, rather than me coming up with topics, I want to do answer your questions if you have any questions, and sort of go from there. So thanks again for jumping on. I wish you a good rest of your week, and have a good week.